This is good, YouTube. It's your favorite analyst, Coinway, coming to you with a quick trade video. I just did the Gordon Dragic. Today we're going to talk about the Michael Carter-Williams, Brandon Knight swap trade. The Philadelphia 76ers pretty much gave their best player up pretty much for a first-round draft pick for what I'm seeing, and I don't really like that trade because Michael Carter-Williams, even though he's not a great player, even though he's not an amazing player, he's a player that's still good. You know what I'm saying? He's still putting up decent numbers. He don't shoot good. His field goal percentage always been horrible, but it's just because he don't have a jump shot. That's something he's gonna have to develop. But they basically, I'm gonna make it like this. It's pretty much a four-way trade because you gotta remember that Phoenix ended up sending Isaiah Thomas to Boston and gave the Sixers a pick too. So you got to put both them trades together. The Phoenix and Boston trade that involved the Sixers, to me, is pretty much a four-way trade because the Phoenix Suns end up sending Isaiah Thomas to Boston and the Sixers got another pick. So, you know what I'm saying? It's still like a four-way trade. I think the Isaiah Thomas trade was pretty good. I think you getting him on a cheap contract. He instant offense. He basically was the sixth man of the year to me. And you basically getting him for, what, 3 years, $27 million. That's a steal for the Boston Celtics. And he's still young. And he can take over games. And he's a good shooter. And he can finish in the paint. So you getting a good player for a cheap contract. And that's a good trade to me. The Michael Carter-Williams trade, really, they just gave him away to me. It really wasn't a good trade. I think you gave a good quality player. I know he ain't like a franchise player, but he is a good point guard. He has good size. He has good finishing ability. He can play make. He gets a lot of turnovers, but he's young. He just got in the league. He got a lot to learn. He used to play. He has to get developed, and I feel like going to the Milwaukee Bucks with Jason Kidd, they can develop Michael Carter-Williams into the player he needs to be. They can develop his jump shot. They can develop his playmaking because he's under Jason Kidd, and he's an amazing rebounder for the position. So I do believe that Michael Carter-Williams, this is a better trade because Michael Carter-Williams do more than Brandon Knight. Brandon Knight is a better shooter. He's a better scorer. But Michael Carter-Williams is the overall, all-around better player. So I believe that this is a good trade for the Bucks. And on top of that, we get Tyler Ennis. Remember, we lost a point guard already to injury this year for the ACL injury. And then we lost Jabari Parker. Now we get Tyler Ennis, another project, another raw potential player, basically easy, just picking them up for free, really. And that's a steal because Tyler Ennis has a high. He's a big point guard. He has a good shooting ability, and he's just gonna be a backup point guard. And like I said, we already lost a point guard for an ACL injury already, so we needed another point guard, another extra point guard, just in case somebody else go down. And now we got that with Tyler Ennis. Then we get Miles Plumlee, which is another good part for the Bucks because he's a good rim protector and he's a good finisher. He gets alley-oops. He's athletic. He can finish. He can dunk. But he can't shoot free throws and he can't shoot a jump shot that consistent. But he's a good finisher and he's a good rim protector to a certain extent. And he gets a lot of he can rebound good. Considering that we're gonna lose Larry Sanders probably, we needed a center to fill that center spot besides Pachulia. So now we got a backup center, a backup point guard, and a starting point guard that's an all-around point guard. He can play defense, he can pass, he can rebound, and he can score a little bit. But he can do he can do a whole lot more than Brandon Knight. Then you bring in a good center and a backup point guard, you looking good. But for the Phoenix Suns, I don't know what they were trying to do. They get rid of Isaiah Thomas, they get rid of Dragic, but they get Brandon Knight. Now Brandon Knight, he's a free agent, so they're gonna have to pay Brandon Knight his money. If how much they're willing to pay him. He is gonna be cheaper than Gordon Dragic, which is good, and he can develop into a good player because he already averaging 17.6 assists and 4 rebounds. So he already a good player. He was a potential all-star, and now you get him for a cheap contract, and he can still get better. And he's still a good finisher. He's a good jump shooter, and he's a good three-point shooter, and he's a good free throw shooter. So Brandon Knight is a good player, but you losing Gordon Dragic and Isaiah Thomas, we're going to have to see what the Phoenix Suns going to do. because now since you lost Goran Dragic, you can put Gerald Green to that shooting guard position, play Brandon Knight at the point guard, and then you can have it work out like that. But then you won't be undersized, and then you got a consistent score, and you got that size. You got a good size point guard, you got a good size shooting guard in Gerald Green, and then you can actually pay Gerald Green his money, which he ain't gonna be worth that much, like $6 to $7 million. And then instead of paying Goran Dragic $8 to $9 million, you can just pay Brandon Knight $8 million and Gerald Green $7 to $6 million, and you got your backcourt right there. And well, actually, Brandon Knight gonna come off the bench, and Eric Bledsoe gonna be starting. But you know what I'm saying? You ain't gotta pay Brandon Knight that much money at what I'm saying compared to Goran Dragic. And then you can just use the money you would pay, give it to Gerald Green, and then you got a big backcourt with Eric Bledsoe and Gerald Green, and then you got Brandon Knight coming off the bench instead of starting. Hopefully they do it like that. Don't start Brandon Knight. Put him on the bench and let Gerald Green be your starting shooting guard. That way, he a knockdown shooter. He can finish in the paint. He can dunk. He can get to the free throw line, and he can knock down mid-range. So put Gerald Green as a shooting guard and bring Brandon Knight off the bench. I hope they do that. And now it give Eric Bledsoe his ability to be a point guard instead of a shooting guard sometimes, instead of a spot-up shooter. Now he's going to have the ball more in his hands, which is very good for the Phoenix Suns because you don't want the ball being in too many hands. One day is in 1 minute, 5 minutes in Isaiah Thomas' hand. Then it's in Goran Dragic's hands. Then it's in Eric Bledsoe's hands. Now it's just going to be primarily in Eric Bledsoe's hands, and that's good because he can develop his playmaking ability and he can be an on-ball scorer because we all know Eric Bledsoe, he's at his best when he has the ball in his hands. When he off the ball, like Goran Dragic, he's not as effective because he ain't a knockdown shooter. Goran Dragic is, but Eric Bledsoe's not. But he has improved his three-point shot a lot more than he had in the last couple years. But we want to have Eric Bledsoe with the ball in his hand as much as possible because he's really the best player on his team, and he actually is the highest paid player on his team. And Eric Bledsoe has showed that he can be a great point guard this year, but he just he can do more now because he gonna have more chances to be a playmaker and a scorer. And now you can put Gerald Green, a knockdown shooter, in the corner, and he gives you that size at the shooting guard position, then you should be good. I like the trade. I think Phoenix, they needed to do a couple more trades because now they're in a position where they're going to be a mediocre team. I still think they can make a run at the 8th seed, but they're going to be a first-round exit, in my opinion, with the team they got right now. They did get a couple centers with Brandon, what's his name again? The Brandon guy that they got from Boston. Brandon Wright, I should say. That's his name, Brandon Wright. They did get Brandon Wright, and then they still got Alex Len. Then they got the Morris twins. So this team still ain't going to be a garbage team. They're still going to be a very good team. So we want to see what Phoenix Suns going to do by the season, before the season is over. But this is the end of the video. So comment, like, subscribe, and share. If you're new to the channel, check out my older videos. If you like this video, like my older videos, subscribe. And thanks for the view. Thanks for watching my videos. And Quinn Wade signing out. Peace.